I was living in a car wash, and I actually thought I was living on top of the world.
Is I feel that those who have experienced homelessness are a part of that solution. Like, how are we about to listen to people that have never slept a night in our situation? I said, I need a bed. I can't do this. I'm willing to go to a sober living, just somewhere that's not here, because right now, for the first time in my life,
All right, everybody, welcome to Indestructible Joy. Super excited today. We're going to talk a little bit about homelessness and the stigmatism behind that, because I think it's definitely there in San Diego. You know, it's a lot of people living not on the streets. I actually experienced it myself. I'll share a little bit about mine, and I got a guest that's going to really dive into her heart is to help people with that, and it's a weird stigmatism. Like it somehow puts people in a different category. I kind of fell outside of that though, because I was living in a car wash, and I actually thought I was living on top of the world. So I was so far into drugs and stuff that I don't think I realized I was homeless. I just didn't sleep at any home or anything like that. Did a lot of couch surfing and crashed in people's closets and stuff. But the stigmatism just didn't stick to me. You couldn't tell me that I was winning, but you can see where it breaks some people mentally because of, I've always been 1,000,000% nuclear level rebellious of what anyone thinks of me. So I almost want them to think poorly of me. So it didn't really impact me. But what I did learn, because for years I've worked with homeless, I worked at a church for 12 years. What I found was, a lot of people, I mean, there's different categories they fall in. Some is mental health. Like you should be somewhere getting mental health help. And some were just by choice. Some are just like done, they give them. But there's so many that were homeless and felt like mentally they couldn't be. And you can see the ones break through. It's like, wait a minute, it's not that hard. If you really want to, you can, but there's no one there to show them a path. There's no one there to really show them where the resources are and kind of get them to completely change their mindset. And I kind of started noticing, man, how do you get those? And it's not unbreak those people. It's unbreak people's impact on them. The way people treat them and are to them is if you treat them like they're less than because they're struggling in that way, it gets into their mind. So I really love that you're here to talk about that. And sorry for going on so long. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? This is Hannah. This is my new friend. And not new, but we've been friends for a while. But, one of the things I appreciate about you is we're radically different. Our lives are completely different. But I still like you as a person. You like me as a person. Like you're one of you just come in, have a good vibe. But we don't live in the same stratosphere really at all. I don't know much about your life. You don't know much about my life. I just know you always have good vibes. And then when I started asking a little bit what you're about, it's really cool to hear that's what you're about. So tell us about yourself.
appreciate that, Tommy. Thank you. Well, I am a senior at San Diego State University. I'm studying communication and creative writing. And what I hope to do with that is to eventually be a public motivational speaker as well as a spokesperson for local nonprofits that support transitional aged youth. And for those of you that are not aware what transitional aged youth are, it's youth ages 16 to 25 who are experiencing homelessness or have been in foster care. And I myself am also a transitional aged youth. I grew up as an unhoused individual from ages 13 till about 20. So it was about 8 years. My experience is everyone's experience is different. It's not a one-size-fits-all circumstance. And for me, I was fleeing from my house. That was domestic violence. Both my parents were, they're both addicts of various sorts and alcoholics. And in order to, provide safety for myself, I had to leave that situation. And I ended up living with friends and sometimes distant family for a few months at a time. And in about 2020, when the pandemic hit, I moved in with a friend that probably shouldn't have. It wasn't great for my mental health. Their parents were also using, and so it brought me back to my childhood in a lot of ways. And then I was also using and drinking a copious amount, and I ended up reaching out to someone that knew of a
Copious
shelter.
amount. I love that because if you're gonna do it wrong, do it strong.
Yeah,
That was
for
kind of my
sure.
motto too.
Yeah, absolutely. I was definitely in like self-destruction mode, so I was like, oh, I need to get help. So I reached out to someone that I knew that knew of some of the organizations and supports out here in San Diego, and I said, I need a bed. I can't do this. I'm willing to go to a sober living, just somewhere that's not here, because right now, for the first time in my life, I decided I was like, I either need to go into a shelter or I'm going to live in my car. And throughout the 8 years of experiencing homelessness, I didn't ever come to that decision because I was able to be resourceful with the people around me and be able to stay with others. But at this point, I'd kind of burned all bridges.
Yeah.
And so, it was either time to do that or the other. And thankfully, I was able to get
Yeah,
a
our
bed.
greatest resource is resourcefulness. And when you don't have a place to lay your head, you'd be surprised how resourceful you can be. You're going to find a place, you got to sleep.
Yeah, for sure.
But and I always, I look at people like that. I always way respect people more who've had some bumps in the road and come out and know what's right and wrong and know which direction they're going. And they eliminate the drugs and the alcohol and they just, and not only that, to try and make a difference. That's those are the people that change the world. It's not the ones that just live on the house, the hill, and have the easy life. Good for them if they had that. I didn't have that. You definitely didn't have that, but it comes full circle where you're almost thankful for how you turned out, because it's like, well, you turned out good. So, you know what I mean? That all went into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like one thing that I say that I feel like a lot of people are shocked about is that being homeless and choosing to be homeless, well, in some ways that was a choice, in some ways it wasn't, but it saved my life. Point blank, period. I would not be where I am today. I would not have the goals and ambitions that I have today if it wasn't for these experiences.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's your encouragement? Encourage people who don't have a place to stay right now. Well, where do they even go for it? Because that's the other thing I found work. Nobody knows where the resources are. Nobody knows how to find their way to this, that, and they end up defaulting to a group of, weird people or, just squatting, and it doesn't end up, it's just the wrong direction. You can be homeless and head in the right direction just as well as you can have a house and head in the right direction. Same thing. You can head in the wrong direction in either one. What's your best encouragement for people to just stay heading in the right direction?
Well, for me is being open about what you're going through to others and asking for help, even if it feels like you're a broken record and you haven't gotten the options and resources that you want or need. Just continuing to ask for help. Eventually, you'll get that support. For those people that have access to a phone, I would contact this. It's a community outreach line called 211. It can help connect you to any sort of resources or shelters and provide information that way too.
211. So that's still, and someone live answers, and there's okay. That's
Yeah, I've utilized that number various amount of times. They've helped me get connected to healthcare, get identifications, employment.
Yeah, I think I talked about my homeless experience, but mine was very different. Mine was very much by choice. I just left the state that I lived in when I didn't care. I was just a reckless trainer. It wasn't like I was 13 years old and didn't have another option.
Right.
That whole, I grew up with great parents. The whole growing up, I decided to go off, and, so I don't know that because I was just thinking about this right now. I don't know if I've ever really experienced there's a difference in choice homelessness, and I don't have a choice but to be homeless. So again, good job making it through that. It'll just make you stronger. Tell me about your dream. Remember about what you want to start.
Oh, the nonprofit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, one more thing I want to talk about is you had talked to me about it. I always ask people what their dream is, and your dream was one of those ones like, okay, you can do that. Don't just make that a dream, do it. Tell us a little bit about your dream.
So one of my ultimate dreams is to build a nonprofit organization for transitional aged youth and mothers that also support youth. And I would like to have lived experience be at the forefront of the staff and all the inner workings of this, right? Because I feel that those who have experienced homelessness are a part of that solution. Like, how are we about to listen to people that have never slept a night in our situation to try and help us solve this issue, you know?
Yeah.
So I would really love to have an organization where we're able to interact with one another and collaborate on ideas and solutions to be able to support one another.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, those of people that have experienced chronic homelessness, like, you rely on each other out there. Like, it's a community.
Oh, it's got to be.
Absolutely. I mean, it's how you survive. So why don't we bring that into a room that also, you know, can be a forefront for development and finding stability.
One of the coolest things with my interaction with home that just reminded me of that is we had the Rock Church's big ass building, big church, you know, blah, blah, blah. The bottom line is homeless are not welcome there, because if someone comes in, they're homeless and they smell, they're not welcome. Plus they have their backpack, the security's got it just, none of it is welcoming. We had this church without walls though in Balboa Park, and there would be 200 plus homeless people that show up. And I just remember this. There's a freedom vibe that comes with that, because everyone's doing whatever they want. They're at the park. The freedom that comes with that. Some people don't experience that. It's a whole different level of like non-attachment. You know, even if it's negative, it's a complete and total non-attachment. You know, and so here's what I want to encourage you: keep writing down that vision, because I've seen people do it again and again and again. I have people that could help you write the nonprofit, because at the Rock, when we did all these ministries, 17 of them became nonprofit, which I went through the whole process, was on the board of several of them. I'm still on the board of a couple of them, which is a pain in the ass. But anyway, it's, I don't know how to do it, but I know people that know how to do it. You know, so those kind of things, when you have a vision, don't just think of it as like, you know, oh, it's way off out there. Just do it, because that's the kind of thing, you know, especially when it comes to youth. You know, it's almost like, man, if you can just catch people before they get that like 40, 50 and just hard, they're just lives, you can tell it's not gonna make it out. Like I would say, if you could not fix them, but if you could give them hope by the time they're 27, 28, 30, that's, you know, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
You know, that's how old are you?
I'm 22.
22 and already sober. I got sober when I was 23. So if you stay sober, you beat me.
Well, that's a goal.
And I'm not 23 anymore. I'm like 2 years older than that. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. I really want to see you do well, and I want to connect you with, I'm going to shout it out here. Lisa Walker is all the connections, and Michelle Casa can totally help you. So when they hear this, someone message them and say, help this girl out, do your job. They're all about it though. I mean, their ministry, they've done it their whole lives for not a penny, you know, through nonprofit. It was just all heart and soul. You know, that's how I learned, you know, people can do anything is I worked at a church, and volunteer ministers say, hey, we want to do this. I'd be like, go for it. And they do it. And I'd be like, whoa, that's pretty fucking amazing. Good job. You know? And so when I hear people say that, you know, all I want to say is yes, you know, because yes, if that's your vision, keep writing and keep doing it, and find the right people, connect with them, and you'll do great. Thank you so much for coming on. You're awesome.
You.
Awesome vibe as always.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.